I'm so awkward. Hi you guys, my name is Haley and this is my true crime YouTube channel. So I don't even know if anybody's gonna watch this video, but I'm Haley. On TikTok and Instagram, I'm ROBANDHALEY, and I share all types of true crime stuff. I started sharing about true crime on my TikTok when the Gabby Petito case was happening. I was sharing like hour by hour updates when that whole thing was happening. And with that, I started sharing more and more true crime, mostly about people who are missing or people who haven't gotten justice. But just in general, I share all types of true crime. I also have a true crime podcast with my friend Andrea where I share true crime stuff also. So yeah. But on TikTok, I've gotten a lot of requests to make a true crime YouTube channel. And I have a YouTube channel, I have a vlog channel, and I was like, maybe I'll start a true crime YouTube channel. So here I am. This might be the only video I ever make. If nobody watches this and it's just a flop, then this will be the only video that's out there. But I decided to just give it a try, so here I am. Today, I'm gonna be covering the murder of Laci Peterson and Scott Peterson. He was resentenced yesterday. So I'm going to be covering the whole case, the background of it. This definitely is not going to be every single detail in the case. Like, there's probably a lot that I'm not going to cover, especially when it comes to the trial. I'm not going to go into full depth of the trial because there are so many documentaries and stuff out there about that, and I also don't want to influence you guys one way or another. I just want to share the facts. So I'm going to be sharing a ton of details. This is not perfect. I'm not a reporter, but I'm going to do my best to share it. And my camera battery is going to die, so this is just a fail from the start. Let me go get a new battery. Okay, I hope the angle's the same. I switched the battery and then something went wrong with my memory card, but I'm just gonna get into this case. I feel really awkward with the camera being this close and don't look great, but whatever, it's okay. My dog is right here pawing at me, so hopefully he will not continue to do that. But let's just get into this case because it's crazy, and just a trigger warning, it is gruesome. I'll give a trigger before that. All right, Laci Denise Rocha was born on May 4th, 1975 to Sharon and Dennis Robert Rocha in California. Laci had one older brother and later got a half-sister, but her and her brother grew up near a dairy farm that her parents owned. So this was just west of Escalon, California, in Northern California, and Laci grew up working on the farm with her brother. She also would garden with her mom, and this played into what she decided to major in college later. Laci was actually named after a girl that her mother knew in high school that was just so beautiful, so Laci's mom wanted to use the name for her daughter. And Laci was absolutely gorgeous and definitely lived up to that legacy. When Laci and her brother Brent were young, their parents divorced and Laci and Brent moved with their mom Sharon to Modesto, California. Sharon later met and married a man named Rob Grantsky, and Rob basically raised Laci and her brother from the time that Laci was about 2 years old. So Laci's stepfather was in her life for a really long time and they were really close. In school, Laci was a cheerleader and she was extremely smart, and she ended up enrolling at California Polytechnic University in San Luis Obispo, or as it's better known, Cal Poly SLO. Laci began studying ornamental horticulture, which, came from her love of gardening and working on the dairy farm. So she was studying that in school, and in 1994, she was 20 years old at Cal Poly studying, and she would oftentimes go to a cafe in nearby Morro Bay where one of her friends worked. So she would go to this cafe to visit her friend, and that's when she met Scott Peterson. So Scott was a co-worker of her friend's working at this cafe, and when Laci and Scott met, they immediately had a connection. So Scott Peterson was born on October 24th, 1972 in San Diego, California, to Lee Arthur Peterson and Jackie Helen Lathman. Lee and Jackie actually had 6 children from previous relationships, and Scott was their only child together. Scott grew up playing golf, and by the time he was 14, he could beat his dad at a golf game, so he was really good. By the end of high school, Scott was one of the top junior golfers in in San Diego, so he got a partial scholarship to Arizona State University. So he was going to Arizona State on this partial golf scholarship, playing on the golf team, but he kind of started acting out and eventually got kicked off of the golf team. So after he was kicked off of the Arizona State golf team, he transferred to Cuesta College in San Luis Obispo and then later transferred to Cal Poly, where Lacey was going to school. So in 1994, Scott was now going to Cal Poly studying agricultural business, and he was 22 years old, so just 2 years older than Lacey, and he was working at this cafe in Morro Bay. Lacey made the first move when they met and sent Scott her phone number, and immediately after she met him, she told her mom that she had just met the man that she was gonna marry before they even went on a date. So their first date was going deep sea fishing, and apparently Lacey got seasick, so it doesn't really sound like much of a glamorous first date, but doesn't matter because they still hit it off and their relationship began moving really quickly. Apparently not long after that, Lacey's mom came down to San Luis Obispo to meet Scott, and Scott took them out to dinner, and you know, Lacey's mom, Sharon, said that Scott was polite and she liked him, she liked them together. As their relationship grew more, Scott put aside his dream of becoming a professional golfer to really focus on business. So he was studying agricultural business and he really started to focus on that. Lacey and Scott eventually moved in together, and Lacey graduated in the spring of 1997. And after she graduated, she got a job working in nearby Prunedale because Scott still had to finish his senior year at Cal Poly. Before the start of Scott's senior year, on August 9th, 1997, Scott and Lacey got married. So the now married couple were living together, Lacey was working, and Scott was finishing up his senior year in college. Things in the relationship already started getting a little bit rocky, maybe unbeknownst to Lacey, but Scott started having affairs. One girl was told by Scott that he was single, and she actually ended up finding out that was a lie when she walked in on Lacey and Scott in bed together. And then another girl, Scott had told her that he was married but was getting a divorce, and they started, seeing each other, and then this girl saw Lacey and Scott interacting with each other at Scott's graduation, and the way that they were interacting, she just knew that he had been lying to her. So either way, Scott and Lacey were married, and Scott graduated with his degree in agricultural business in June 1998. And not long after, the couple decided to open up a sports bar. This was just perfect for them because Scott knew the business side of things and Lacey really enjoyed interior design. So she was excited to design the inside of the sports bar, and they were just excited to get going with this. So the bar was in San Luis Obispo and it was called The Shack, and business at first was a little bit slow, but it began to pick up. It was a cheap option for, students to come, eat, drink, have fun, and business did start to pick up and they were making a decent living with this. But eventually Lacey really started missing being close to her family, and the couple, decided that they wanted to start a family together. So in early 2000, they decided that they were going to sell the sports bar and move back up to Modesto, California, where Lacey grew up. In October 2000, they purchased a home in an upscale neighborhood in Modesto, and they sold the shack a few months later. So they moved into this home in Modesto. It was a beautiful 3-bedroom home, 1,700 square feet, and they bought it for $177,000, which I wish I could buy a home for that much in California today. After they moved there, Scott got a job at a fertilizer company, and Lacey was working as a part-time substitute teacher, and her mom and sister said that she was really enjoying becoming the perfect housewife. She loved to cook, she loved to entertain, and she really just loved that lifestyle. In early 2002, Lacey became pregnant, and she was just so excited to be a mom. She immediately started wearing maternity clothes, even though she wasn't showing yet. She was reading books, spending all of her free time learning how to be a mother, and she was just so excited. And by all accounts, Scott was excited as well. So Lacey was due February 10th, 2003, and over most of 2002, she was just preparing to become a mom. The couple found out that they were having a boy and decided they were going to name him Connor, and Lacey even got started working on his nursery. She was making it a nautical theme, and as I mentioned, she loved interior design, so she was really excited to design her son's nursery. Her and Scott were really building up their dream life, and That's what it seemed like to outsiders, but Scott continued to have affairs. In November 2002, Scott met a massage therapist from Fresno, California named Amber Frey. Amber says that Scott said that he was single and she had no reason to not believe him, so they started seeing each other. They would go on these fun dates, and Amber even wanted to spend Thanksgiving with Scott that year, but he told her that he was going to be fishing with his father in Alaska, which we know isn't true because he had to spend it with his pregnant wife. So Scott was seeing Amber Frey, and we're not sure if Lacey knew about it or not, but either way, we're coming up on the Christmas season 2002. On December 23rd, 2002, our story really begins. So that day, Lacey had gotten her nails done. She had kind of been preparing for the Christmas festivities that were going to be happening the next few days. In the evening of December 23rd, Scott and Lacey went to Lacey's half-sister's salon for her to cut Scott's hair. So Lacey's half-sister Amy would cut Scott's hair once a month, and they went to the salon around 5:45 that evening. Amy remembers Scott telling her that he was going to be golfing the next day on Christmas Eve, and she remembers he even offered to pick up a fruit basket that Amy had ordered for her grandfather because the golf course was nearby where she would have to pick it up. And it was later revealed that other people were told by Scott that he was going to be golfing on Christmas Eve. Amy also spoke with Lacey that day and didn't say that anything was wrong. After they left the salon, they went home, and Lacey spoke to her mother around 8:30 p.m. that night, and that's the last person that ever heard from Lacey other than Scott. So from here, what we know is pretty much Scott's account of what happened on Christmas Eve. Scott told police that he last saw Lacey around 9:30 a.m. on December 24th, and that she was at home watching a cooking show, and that day she was preparing to mop the house, get ready for, they were having a Christmas brunch the next day, so she was prepping for that, and she also was planning to walk their golden retriever Mackenzie to a nearby park. At around 10:30 a.m., a neighbor of the Petersons, Karen Servas, found the family's golden retriever alone outside their home. So Karen returned Mackenzie to the Petersons' backyard. And there are actually two other accounts of people who saw Mackenzie in the neighborhood that morning, and it's kind of unclear which one is accurate, if they're all accurate or what, but I'm gonna go through the other two as well because I think it's important to the story. Another neighbor, Mike Chiavetta, said that he saw Mackenzie around 10:45 when he was playing catch with his own dog. And then the third report is an unnamed neighbor who found Mackenzie wandering around with a muddy leash, and she said that she returned Mackenzie to the backyard and she didn't notice anything astray in the backyard. So Scott was off fishing in the Berkeley Marina, which was about 90 miles away from their home in Modesto, and at 2:15 p.m. he called Lacey and left a voicemail, and the voicemail said,
"Hey, beautiful, I just left a message at home, 2:15, I live in Berkeley, I won't be able to get to Villa Farms to get that basket for Papa. I was hoping you would get this message and go on out there. I'll see you in a bit, sweetie, love you, bye." End of message.
So Scott said that he returned later that afternoon to the home, and Lacey's car was in the driveway, and when he went inside, Mackenzie was in the backyard, and he decided to go shower and wash his clothes because he had gotten wet from fishing. This photo was later taken with these rags on top of the washer, and later the Petersons' housekeeper had said that she had left the dirty rags inside of the washer when she left the previous afternoon, but police saw the rags unwashed on top of the washer, and Scott's clothes were inside of the washer finishing up. Scott claims that he told Lacey's mother that he found Mackenzie in the backyard, but Sharon later said in her book that he had later denied this statement. So we don't know where he found Mackenzie, but his story kind of changes a little bit. But either way, I guess he didn't think anything was wrong with the fact that his wife's car and their dog were home, but she was not home. But he went and showered, washed his clothes, and went on with his day. According to the New York Post, when Lacey had still not returned home by 5:15 p.m., he called Lacey's mother, Sharon, to see if she knew where Lacey was. A half hour after that, Lacey's stepfather, Rob Gransky, called the police to report Lacey missing because nobody had heard from her and nobody knew where she was. So police went to the Peterson home on the evening of December 24th, and there they found Lacey's keys, her wallet, and her sunglasses inside of her purse in a closet in the home. They also found the dining room table meticulously set for that Christmas brunch they were having the next day, and they also found a phone book on the kitchen counter that was open to a full-page ad for a defense lawyer. Police that went to the home that night and later interviewed Scott said that his behavior was kind of strange. He was weirdly calm for the fact that his pregnant wife was missing. They said that Scott didn't ask what their next steps were, what they were going to do to find Lacey, and it just seemed really weird to them how calm he was and how not involved he was in, wanting to know what they were going to do to find Lacey. Detectives did interview him that night, and he apparently did agree at first to take a polygraph test, but then later changed his mind and would not take one. So police immediately launched an extensive search for Lacey. On Christmas Day, 30 officers, along with Lacey's loved ones, carried out a search in the area. This search included helicopters, horses, bicycles, canine units, and water rescue units on rafts. It's been reported that in just the first 2 days of searching, over 900 people came to help. The story really started spreading across the nation. It was getting nationwide media attention, and an initial reward for Lacey's safe return was established for $25,000, but that just kept growing and eventually hit $500,000. Family, friends, and volunteers also set up a command center to help distribute and record developments and other information, but the searches pretty much led nowhere. They found no trace of Lacey. Scott became a person of interest in Lacey's case pretty early on, and when that was shared in the media, Amber Frey went to police. On December 30th, 2002, Amber Frey went to police to tell them about her relationship with Scott. So she told them about how she had no clue that he was married and kind of told them some of the details about their relationship. And at this time, Amber also agreed to call Scott while police were listening. Amber also told police that 2 weeks before Lacey disappeared on December 9th, Scott had actually told her that he had been married, but his wife had passed away, and that this was going to be his first Christmas without her. On January 24th, 2003, Amber came forward to reporters and told them that she had been in a relationship with Scott and that she had contacted police a month before. On March 5th, 2003, Lacey's case was reclassified from a missing persons case to a homicide case. And police didn't really give too much information about why this reclassification happened, other than saying that they had come to believe Lacey was the victim of some type of violent crime. And just a trigger warning here, because I am going to discuss some details of the crime scene and bodies that you might want to skip ahead a little bit if you don't want to hear them. On April 13th, 2003, a couple was walking their dog along the San Francisco Bayshore area in Richmond's Point Isabel Regional Shoreline Park. This is just north of Berkeley, California, and on their walk, they came up to a marshy area where they came across a decomposing but still pretty well-preserved body of a late-term male fetus. The umbilical cord was apparently still attached, and it appeared to be torn, not cut, like it would be done after giving birth. The full autopsy has been sealed, but an anonymous Associated Press source claims that 1.5 loops of nylon tape were found around the neck of the fetus and that there were significant cuts on the fetus's body. The next day, a passerby on the eastern rocky shoreline of the bay found the decomposing body of a recently pregnant woman. The woman was wearing beige pants and a maternity bra, and this was just a mile from where the baby was found the day before. The corpse was decapitated and had missing limbs and was decomposed almost to the point of being completely unrecognizable as a human body. An autopsy later revealed that the cause of death could not be determined. There were 2 cracked ribs. The upper torso had been emptied of all internal organs except for the uterus. and this explains why the fetus was so well preserved. The autopsy said that the uterus had been protecting the fetus. So the forensic pathologist who conducted the autopsy concluded that the fetus had died in utero and had been expelled from the mother's decaying body. 4 days later, on October 18, 2003, DNA test results confirmed the bodies found to be those of Laci Peterson and her unborn son, Connor Peterson. On that same day, Scott Peterson was arrested. He was arrested near a golf course in La Jolla, California, and he claimed that he was going to meet his father and brother for a game of golf. So this is down in Southern California, not up in Northern California where he lived with Lacey and where his wife and son's bodies had just been discovered. Police actually believe that Scott was planning to flee to Mexico. They found Scott had dyed his hair blonde and also had his Mercedes overstuffed with miscellaneous items. This included nearly $15,000 in cash, 12 Viagra tablets, which why? Survival gear, camping equipment, several clothing items, 4 cell phones, and 2 driver's licenses. So he had his driver's license and his brother's. And Scott's father, Lee Peterson, later claimed that he had his brother's driver's license because he had used it the day before to get a San Diego resident discount at the golf course. And Lee also claimed that Scott had been living out of his car because of the media attention. But police and prosecutors did not believe this and believed that Scott was planning to flee to Mexico. But either way, Scott was arrested. On April 21st, 2003, Scott was arraigned at the Stanislaus County Superior Court, where he was charged with 2 felony counts of murder with premeditation and special circumstances. He pled not guilty and said that he could not afford a lawyer, so a public defender was assigned to him. But a month later, in May 2003, celebrity lawyer Mike Geragos, who represented actors like Winona Ryder and Robert Downey Jr., was hired by Scott's family to help represent him. In November 2003, the preliminary trial began, and after 11 days, the judge determined that a trial could go forward. He said that prosecutors had determined probable cause and ordered Scott to go to trial for the double homicide. And then in December 2003, Lacey's mom filed 2 wrongful death civil lawsuits, one by her as an individual and the other as the administrator of Lacey's estate. And her lawyer said that she just wanted to ensure that justice would be served, whether it be in civil or criminal court. So this civil suit was also filed around this time, but this was later dropped in 2009. In January 2004, the judge ordered Scott's trial to be moved 90 miles away to San Mateo County. And this was because the big media coverage in Scott's hometown wouldn't allow for him to have a fair trial there. Scott's trial began on June 1st, 2004. Almost a month into the trial, one juror had to be replaced. This juror, Justin Falconer, had been seen talking to Lacey's brother outside of the courtroom, so because of that, he had to be dismissed and was replaced with one of the stand-in jurors. On this same day, the judge also denied the defense's request for a mistrial due to unfavorable news. The judge said, "We have to live with the media." So during the trial, all of the prosecution's evidence was circumstantial, as they never found any physical evidence in their searches of Scott's home, his car, toolbox, warehouse, and boat. One of the pieces of circumstantial evidence that they cited was they believe Scott had used cement anchors to weigh Lacey's body down in the San Francisco Bay. So they never found any evidence of this despite intense searches of the bay, including sonar that could detect small objects on the sea floor, but they still believe this to be true, and it was circumstantial evidence. On August 10th, 2004, over 2 months into the trial, Amber Frey took the stand. And up until this point, a lot of the prosecution's evidence seemed pretty weak, but this was really a big turning point for the trial. Amber recalled the details of her fairy tale romance with Scott, sharing his lies about being a widower and how he basically lied to her their entire time they were together. They even played the 12 hours of recorded phone calls between Scott and Amber for the jury, and this really helped paint a better picture of who Scott was. So the prosecution still had no physical evidence, no murder weapon, but this testimony helped their case out a lot. The course of the trial lasted 5 months, and over 180 witnesses were called to the stand. That's all I'm going to go through in the trial. There are a lot of documentaries and videos out there about more in-depth analysis of the trial, so if you guys want to hear more about that, you can go watch one of those. On November 3rd, 2004, the trial ended and jury deliberation began. 6 days into jury deliberation, one juror had to be dismissed due to misconduct, and they were replaced by one of the stand-in jurors. On November 12th, 2004, the jury came back with their verdict. Scott Peterson was found guilty of first-degree murder for the death of Lacey and second-degree murder for the death of his unborn son, Connor. So then deliberations about the sentencing began, and on December 13th, 2004, the jury recommended the death sentence. On March 16th, 2005, Scott Peterson was sentenced to death by Judge DeLucci. Scott was then taken to San Quentin State Prison. On July 5th, 2012, Scott Peterson filed his first appeal. So this gets a little bit confusing, but this is important, so stay with me. The appeal said that Judge DeLucci back in 2004 had excluded prospective jurors who oppose the death penalty but say they would still consider such a sentence. So this basically is saying that there were jurors who said that they opposed the death penalty, but they did still say they would consider that sentence, which is not grounds for dismissal. So Scott is saying that some of the jurors that were dismissed should have been considered. The appeal also claimed that certain evidence, like the findings of one police dog that had a poor track record of success, shouldn't have been admitted as evidence. But ultimately, this appeal in 2012 was denied. On November 24th, 2015, Scott filed his second appeal, and it had a lot of the same claims as the first appeal. But this appeal also claimed that one of the late trial juror replacements had lied about an earlier involvement in legal proceedings by failing to disclose that she had once been threatened by her boyfriend's ex-girlfriend while pregnant. So she didn't disclose this, and this could have potentially been a reason for her dismissal, but she was not dismissed because she did not disclose this, and she was one of the alternate jurors. But ultimately, this appeal was denied as well. In March 2019, California Governor Gavin Newsom issued a moratorium for all prisoners on California's death row. So this order postponed all executions for the duration of his tenure as governor. But Scott's family didn't think that this would really affect Scott's case because before a death row prisoner is executed, they have to go through all of their different appeals, and his family didn't think he would get through all of his appeals before Gavin Newsom was out of office. On August 24th, 2020, in a 7-0 decision, the Supreme Court in California agreed with Scott's claim about the improper dismissal of the jurors. So this was related to the judge in 2004 dismissing jurors who were opposed to the death penalty but said they could still consider it. They're saying that these jurors should not have been dismissed. So because of this, Scott Peterson's death sentence was overturned. However, the California Supreme Court rejected the stance that Scott was unable to receive a fair trial, and his conviction was still upheld. On September 22nd, 2021, after delays due to the global pandemic, Scott Peterson's resentencing was scheduled for November 2021. It had to be rescheduled again, but yesterday, December 8th, 2021, Scott Peterson was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for the first-degree murder of his wife, Laci Peterson, and he was also sentenced to a concurrent 15 years to life sentence for the second-degree murder of his unborn son, Connor Peterson. So basically what happened was Scott was convicted of murder back in 2004. In 2005, he was sentenced to death. In 2020, that death sentence was overturned, but his murder conviction was upheld. And then in 2021, he was resentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. There are a lot of people out there who believe Scott is innocent, and I'm not imposing my opinions or thoughts on this on any of you guys. You can go watch any of the documentaries that are about this and make your own decision, but also be aware that the way that media portrays things can be done in a certain way. So I would encourage you to look at all of the evidence yourself and come up with your own conclusion. And in my conclusion, from my analysis of this case, all the research that I've done, this conviction is correct and Scott deserves to be in jail for life after he murdered his wife and child. So that is the case that I wanted to cover today. It is a really gruesome one, but I wanted to tell the story because I want Lacey's name to be out there. You know, all of the news has all been about Scott, and obviously that's because he is the murderer, but we cannot forget the victim. Lacey is the victim of this crime, and her name needs to be out there. So that's why I wanted to tell this story today. I hope you guys like my new true crime YouTube channel. If you do, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. Leave a like on this video so it helps promote my video to more people, so more people can know this story and know Lacey's name. And also leave a comment down below. Tell me your thoughts on the case, or just tell me you're here watching. I would love to chat with you guys and know what you guys think about the case. So thank you guys so much for listening, watching this story, and let's remember Lacey as it comes up on the anniversary of her disappearance this Christmas. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful holiday season. You can follow me for more daily updates on Instagram and TikTok at ROBANDHALEY on both of those, and I will see you guys in my next video, maybe, if you guys want more. Let me know. Bye, guys.